Finally, after 2 months of speculation, President Ramaphosa is set to announce additions or changes to his new executive at 7 p.m. tonight. So who will be in and who will be out? And who exactly do South Africans want to see included as part of the new cabinet? The most anticipated move, of course, is the new Minister of Electricity, who will face the daunting task of ending our power cuts. Our senior reporter, Aviwe Mtila, is on that story. He's up and about in Johannesburg. He's been talking to different role players this morning. He's joining us now this hour on Today. Good afternoon, Aviwe. I understand you are at COSATU House, downtown Johannesburg, getting a sense from the Trade Union Federation. What are they expecting tonight?
Getting a sense of their wish list, Brad Daniel. Remember that COSATU, as the alliance partners, were actually consulted by the president just 2 Fridays ago. Also, the SACP was one of those that were consulted, and they gave the president their wish list. We'll find out just moments from now exactly what they want. But of course, we've been speaking to a number of stakeholders, and the man on the ground, Brad Daniel, will tell you that all they want is an end to the rolling black card. So they're hoping that whoever gets put in place, for example, in that much talked about Minister of Electricity in the presidency, is someone that will be able to keep the lights on. And of course, the economic woes, the ailing unemployment levels is one of the hot topics on the ground. But let's just get a sense now from the alliance partners and what those discussions were centered around. That's 2 Fridays ago. But since we're thank you for joining us at eNCA, but what is your wish list? What were your discussions like with the president?
Well, firstly, there are things that we are not going to divulge, that were private. We agreed with the president that when it comes to names, whether people we would like to see or people that we would like to see step aside, that will be something private, because this is not personal. This is really just our views, and this is about fixing the country. But on principles that we submitted to the president, it was, we don't want the recycling. Can he look around? Because there are people with enough capacity and potential out there who needs to be given a chance. The recycling of ministers is a big problem, because people fail in their portfolios and they are shifted to another portfolio, and that is not justifiable. Number two, we also said, reminded him that, Mr. President, you came on a ticket of fighting corruption. And you need to use this opportunity to make sure that when you make these appointments, you also look at the people that you are bringing on board, to say we don't want people who are facing corruption allegations to be recycled again. Let's make sure that we bring in people who are not going to be distracted by corruption or corruption allegations, but we are going to be focused on the job 100%. Thirdly, we said, look, we have a myriad of problems in the country. You look at the state of unemployment, load shedding, poverty in general. We said there's nothing discouraging like waking up to headlines of people serving under your administration, insulting you in public, and showing that they don't have confidence in your leadership. The people have a right to actually insult the president. Colleagues, for an example, in the ANC, they have a right to hold the president accountable and speak out openly. But it's ill-discipline if you serve under a particular administration to really insult your boss in public. If you want to object to issues, you do that privately. Then we said, look, it will help all of us and yourself to have an administration that is working as a collective. We don't want mavericks who are going to be questioning positions in public. If they want to do so, they have cabinet meetings, they can have bilateral with yourself, to have these conversations, because we also want people who are independent thinkers who can actually say no to the president. But how they do that is very important. So we said, put together a team that believes in you, a team that wants to work with you, because you don't have the luxury of time. You need people who believe in you and who are prepared to work under your leadership.
And when you talk about ministers that have spoken out against the president, one name that comes to mind is uMalindiwe Sisulu. Are you saying that those ministers need to be shuffled, and those that were fingered, for example, in the Zondo Commission, taking it on review, like your Kwetemandashes, must be reshuffled?
No, like I said, remember my first sentence, I said we made it very clear that we will not be talking about names, because the issues we're dealing with are not personal. And as an organization, we don't want to fall into that trap of really pursuing individuals. There are individuals, of course, where we feel like these ones, it's about time they step aside. But our job as an alliance partner, as a constructive partner, is to say that to the president privately because it's not personal. We don't want to come across as an organization that lobby on behalf of individuals, or that is actually obsessed with getting rid of certain individuals. We will do that privately behind closed doors, because at the end of the day, we are not going to be delivering that reshuffle. The president is going to be delivering that reshuffle, and he's going to live and die by the decisions that he will be taking today. So we also need to give him space to really reflect on who he wants to work with. And he doesn't necessarily have to agree with us on everything that we have said, but at least he knows where we stand.
And on the Minister of Electricity in the presidency, I know you say you can't divulge names, but is South Africa supposed to be confident in the person that was spoken about by the alliance partners on who should take up that mammoth task?
Actually, we didn't discuss individuals on that front. We only were concerned because we were not consulted when the decision was taken. So the focus was on really him explaining the logic behind the ministry, and we understood his explanation, we appreciate it, and we also want to give him a space to make sure that, because when we supported the state of disaster idea and we actually encouraged him to proceed with it, is because we wanted him to run and run fast. So when he explained the reasoning, and we said, no, we understand, and we think that you should look for a person who has enough energy to really deal with this, because we don't want the exhausted and tired people who have really let us down. So, and this goes back to the question of recycling, is to say, if you are going to reshuffle, ask yourself, who am I bringing into this position, and what is it that they have done over time when they've been serving under not just this administration, but under previous administrations. But as to who is the individual and who are the personalities being considered, that's not something that we're interested in. The president has made his decision, and we want him to give him a space to make sure that he gets those that he trusts to run that portfolio.
Okay, but Sizo, we'll catch up with you just in a moment. I'm told we're out of time, of course, as we navigate the discussions and talks, but then ahead of that cabinet reshuffle, we're expecting the president at 7 o'clock to tell us who, among others, would be the new Minister of Electricity in the presidency.
Aviwe, very quickly, before I let you go, in your conversation so far today, have you picked up a little bit of disappointment that the president has taken such a long time to reshuffle his cabinet after the national conference of the ANC, the 55th national conference of the ANC, ended early January?
Certainly, Bradan, and the big question is why? Because you'd understand, of course, even the national state of disaster was announced back in the 9th of February already. We are in March now. On the 6th of March is when only we're going to find out, for example, who the Minister of Electricity is. Also, we know that back in January already, David Mabuza, the former deputy president, resigned, handed in the resignation. We were confirmed by the president at that reply to that State of the Nation debate that, in fact, that did happen and he was still considering it. So people are asking why the delay behind the cabinet reshuffle. As we can see, obviously it was very urgent with many vacancies within the cabinet itself.
Okay. Thank you very much, Aviwe Mtila, outside COSATU House, as we continue to build up to 7 p.m. tonight, which is a time that was announced by Vincent Magwenya yesterday, the spokesperson of the President of the Republic, as the time set now for Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa to tell the nation who is in or is out of his new cabinet or his cabinet. And this reshuffle has been expected for quite some time, and many quarters across the country disappointed about the length it has taken. But we don't have long to wait now. We've got less than 5 hours, unless, of course, there'll be more delays.